So I remember during those sessions, like you always like had so much insight and value to add to the conversation, where when it got to me, I felt like I did okay.
You did great.
But I was a little uncomfortable.
Welcome back to the show. There's no telling where we'll go. So come and share a laugh on the Imp and Skizz podcast.
Skizz, I am confident we are going to crush this podcast right now.
Ooh, I'm not feeling so good about it.
I'm feeling amazing about it. I have extreme confidence. We know exactly what we're going to talk about, what we're going to say on the subject of confidence. Good lead in, yeah?
I am too.
Crushed it. I'm good at this stuff.
That was good. You did. You're confident in your ability to launch. No, this is an interesting one. When we talk about confidence, I think that there's kind of everybody has their different view on what it is, like what it is to be confident, what it is to come off as confident. So let's just start there. I like to do this. I like it when we set a baseline in regards to what is it? What does confidence mean to you, right? When you're confident in something, and just for the record, you're going to end up hearing this word a lot, confident and confidence a lot in this one, because that's what the topic is. When you're confident in something, what does it look like? What are the feelings that you get, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll say mine so you can think about yours. But to me, when you're confident in something, you sort of have this, you don't have to think about your ability to deliver whatever that something is. It could be like for me, like public speaking. I'll expand on it later, but I'm very confident in my ability to do public speaking. At work, when it comes to bringing calm out of chaos, I'm confident in my ability to do that. And what that means is that when those situations arise and I find myself in these places, I don't have to think about it. It's not something I need to worry about or stress over. It doesn't mean that I phone it in, but it does mean that I'm aware that, okay, this is actually in my wheelhouse. This is a strength I have. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm going to move forward with it. And if I find myself in a place where I can help others with this, I'm also confident in my ability to do that as well. So it's quite literally, the less I have to think about whatever the something is, likely that's the more confident I am in that something.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I think when I'm confident with something, I have zero anxiety about doing it.
Yeah.
Right. So if you think about your anxiety levels, it's like when you are traveling to somewhere you've never been, start to get anxiety because you're not confident. You're not confident that you know what you're doing, right? Like even you go into a new store and you have to look at the maps and you're not confident with the drive and where you're supposed to turn and all that stuff. It's small stuff. But those things are prime examples of like, okay, I'm not confident, so therefore I'm going to start to feel a little bit of anxiety about it.
That's
right.
Fair.
Where it's like you give me something and I know I'm good at it, right? Like solve a problem or whatever, a technical problem even. I'll be like, yeah, this is my wheelhouse. I'm good. Like I'm ready to do this. There's zero anxiety behind it. Yeah. I just jump right in. So I think, maybe I measure confidence level through anxiety.
No, I dig that. I really do. I think that was like arguably a far more astute definition of it than the one I gave, because when you relate it to the presence of anxiety, the presence or absence of anxiety, then you're giving it almost like a measurable component, Mm-hmm. And you're right that like the less anxious I feel about something that I'm about to do is a direct relation to how confident I am in that something. Mm-hmm. And so, for example, let's switch it up a little bit. When I have to solve, I'm not a really highly technical person. I've always been very honest about that. I've been very honest about that. I find people who are very technical, I hold them in high regard because I would like that skill set. And it's not like I don't know what I'm doing. I do a lot of technical stuff, but in terms of the people where it's just, wow, they just see the world like the Matrix and they have it sorted out. I work with just absolutely some of the most brilliant minds, and I love it. Right. And it's this, I got to stop saying people's names, but I work with this, with these two girls who are data scientists, and they are so smart. It is just, I dig it. I dig it. It sucks knowing that if I was given that job, if they said, okay, Skizz, you're actually, we're going to move you into a data scientist, I'd be like, oh my, and all the anxiety would come overwhelm me. Because I'd be like, I could dedicate a lot of time to that. I'm not going to get there. You know what I mean? I'm not going to, like, data science is, anybody who's listening and thinking about a future career, you can listen to your Uncle Skizz. Data science is going to be in huge demand in the future. Huge demand. I mean, big data is relatively new and data science is a very big thing. So There you go. A little inside track. But they're so good. And it's interesting to watch their confidence in a world that's so very foreign to me. Right. But I work with these people who impress me, and then I'll do my thing when I do presentations, when I do public speaking, and they're the ones who come to me and they're like, how are you so comfortable in your own skin? And I'm very happy to share it. So that means that when they're about to do something like that, they likely feel, and I'm not talking about these two girls, I'm just talking about the people I work with in general. When they're about to do some sort of presentation, they feel that anxiety. They, there's a lot of people I work with where when they have a presentation coming up, days before they're talking about it because it's all they're thinking about. It's, and that's, it makes me a little sad. And so I help them out and, and do what I can. But the bottom line is they're not fully equipped for that. They don't have the traction that I have on it, the experience and all that. So, okay, I think we're leveled. Yeah. On what it is. Is there anything else you want to add to it before we move on?
Well, I was just thinking of like you're going into public speaking and how you feel confident in it. And I started to think, well, you would think that I would actually be totally comfortable public speaking as well, especially, making YouTube videos and our podcasts or nothing but talking in front of people. I mean, nobody's physically here in the room but us. But I thought back to, what was it like when I was in college and professor called on me to go up and do get in front of the class and present or whatever? I absolutely hated it. Every single time I wanted to get out of it. I didn't want to go to school that day. I was, I'd get up on stage and I'd just be sweating bullets and almost want to throw up. I was, you know what I mean? So I started thinking, okay, well, I used to have extreme anxiety about public speaking. How the heck did I end up here? And what happens is I think it's the subject matter. So I was invited to be on a panel at a MindCon like way back in the day. It was probably 2015 or so.
16.
It was even before that. Was it? There was one before that.
Okay,
I was
gotcha.
on. It was with technical people. With
the
Hermitcraft
gotcha.
one. So,
okay.
But I got asked to be on a technical Redstoner panel at a MindCon. And I remember like at the time I was like, man, I haven't done public speaking. I've been in front of people physically and talking like this in ages, probably since school. And I started to get a little anxiety about it, started to get worried about it, got up on the panel and it got going. And immediately I was comfortable and I was talking, and I was comfortable with it. I was like, oh, well, actually I'm fine. Well, all of a sudden I'm good at public speaking. What's going on? Well, the reality of this situation is I knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
I was on a panel talking about Minecraft Redstone. It was something I was comfortable with, confident in, and suddenly I was okay. I was like totally fine being up there. Whereas in school, it was probably talking on some sort of school subject that I wasn't totally confident in, or whatever, just a presentation that I wasn't totally feeling well prepared for. Where, when you're just up there and talking about something that's like in your nature, in your blood at that point, like it was easy. It was fine.
Yeah, but there's still a good amount of people that they can be the authority in what the subject matter is, but just the sheer notion about being in front of people and speaking, the actual public speaking piece of it is something that that they struggle with, right? And I think that what that is a testament to, that as long as you're confident in the material, then the public speaking piece you're fine with. And that's what it kind of leads to in my eyes, right? So then we ask ourselves, why is confidence even a good thing? People think of confidence and we equate it with it being a good thing. And I believe it is. And I think we covered it pretty well, but when we really dissect it, how is it that sometimes confidence can actually be a bad thing? It can be, and that's false confidence, right? That's when you really are in a space to where you have no business being confident in this. And I think it's okay to be okay with that, right? So there's a line, this is another name it, actually, I'm just going to tell you what it's from. It's a line from The Office, right? I love The Office. And it's from a character that was in 2 episodes total, 2, maybe 3 episodes. His name was Vikram. And he was this Indian guy that Michael temporarily worked with in this call center because he had to make extra money. And this guy was brilliant. He just had this brilliance to him. And he was like where he came from. Like he used to be a doctor, like back in his hometown or whatever. And now he's working in this call center. And you meet him later and he's in the car with Pam, and Michael had to go inside this building at one point, and something, I don't know how they started talking about confidence, but Pam says, he's confident about this. He's something to that effect. And Vikram's response is, he says, confidence, it's the food of the wise man and the liquor of the fool. And I remember I'm like, okay, hold on. Is that something that's a phrase I never came across until this episode? or did the writers of The Office come up with that? Because it's brilliant.
Did you look it up? Did you figure out?
I didn't. I never looked it up. So it might be a famous,
Yeah.
Now, Pam's reaction to it was that it was the first time she had heard it. That was very much the first time I had heard it. But it's one of those things to where it's not cryptic. It's not overly clear. It's also not cryptic, but boy, do you just get it right away. Exactly what he's talking about. Right. And we've seen that before to where some people have a tendency to be overly confident in matters that they have no business being confident in. Right. And that's why it's the liquor of the fool. They think all you need in order to do your thing is confidence. And it's scary because they get away with it a lot. We talked about somebody we used to work with a while ago that we nicknamed the tap dancer. Right? This is a dude that had no business being confident in anything he was doing. Yeah. He was as incompetent as they come, but boy, was he confident. You know what I mean? And because of that, he fooled a lot of people until it was too late and he was doing damage.
Yeah. Until you get caught, right? You get caught in like you said that you knew this and knew how this was going to work. And then suddenly that's not right.
Yeah.
You know,
you carried yourself like you're the authority, and now I'm relying on your authority. So in fact, here's a small example with that one individual, and he's not a bad person, just so we're clear. But an example of that is that there's a certain skill set in the industry that I can't even remember what the task. It's like, it's not even Kaizen. It's something. It's about taking a situation and a very scientific approach to breaking it down into what needs to happen or whatever. It's not project management. It's like a real deep science of project management. And I don't even remember what the verbiage is because it's not interesting to me. But this guy was a black belt in it. They actually had belts. Okay.
Yeah,
so for the record.
This.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name either. I'm sure,
I don't either.
Sure there'll be comments.
Yeah. He was a black belt in it. Right. In which now what this means, now anytime there's any sort of, this is just me. Anytime there's any sort of certificate or some sort of article or label associated with a skill set, I don't think it means the whole story. I just don't. I don't think, and just because somebody has a degree in something, to me, that doesn't make them proficient in that area. It does mean that they were able to cross the T's and dot the I's to get there.
The book's smart and
they're book smarter. They know how to navigate the system, whatever. Right. So this guy was a black belt in whatever this was. And this is before I was like, I was kind of on to him at the time. But I kind of had faith in the system in regards to how people got their belts or whatever. I'm going to keep saying it like that too, because I don't like that it's being related to martial arts.
Everybody that's got a black belt right now is going, oh.
No, yeah, martial arts. That's
not martial arts. It wasn't martial arts.
I'm talking about the real stuff.
It's in this weird.
I'm talking about the non-real stuff is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
So he was the black belt in whatever this was. Well, I had a project going on that had gotten kind of out of control. Not my project, but I had done something that did well enough to where it was like, whoa, we need more eyes on this. It's blowing up, right? We need, so somebody's like, well, go get so-and-so. And this is the guy we're talking about. He's a black belt. He'll dissect. I'm like, okay. And now part of me is like, ooh, this might be a good chance to expose him. So I asked him to lead this effort. And now he's like, yeah, okay. I can do that,
Oh,
So
was there a stutter in his voice?
No, I'm just
saying.
I'm demonstrating that I was picking up on that he wasn't super comfortable, that he was now being asked to actually do the work.
Well, the reason why I asked that is because, like, if he was like that, a little stuttering, not just like, it'd be tell that him himself knew that he was full of it.
No, it wasn't a stutter, but there was an extreme lacking enthusiasm to do this, and not because of the work. What he should be thinking is, oh, dude, I'm the authority, and this is time for me to flex.
Shine.
And I've never had to do this before, so I should be excited. We did the thing, and what an unbelievable mess. Like literally, he was trying to regurgitate as much of the stuff that he kind of sort of half-assed memorized as he could. At the end of the day, he had no instinct for it. He had no actual practice in it. He didn't keep it fresh, his black belt that he did. He never exercised any of that.
It was more like a white belt.
It was like,
isn't the white belt the first one you're supposed to get, and then yellow,
and then you get a yellow tip.
It probably changes for every different type of anyway.
Yeah, but that was a situation to where now your confidence that you were exuding on this false confidence that you were exuding and giving to the ether has now come back to haunt you. And I'm not suggesting that if you're not confident in something that you shouldn't give it a go. I'm not saying that. I am saying that be cognizant of where you stand.
Yeah. Yeah, I got burned by this in the last podcast that we recorded because you asked me if I was sure the camera was on manual focus and it was good to go. And
different.
Come to find out, I was like, yeah, I set it to manual focus. I was confident in the fact that I was going to be perfectly in focus last podcast.
Hey, Skizz here. Pausing the podcast entirely because, well, I edit these. I can do whatever I want. But in all fairness, I want to take this moment to clear up what you're about to see unfold. You see, Impulse was referring to his POV focus in the previous episode titled, Come On Man, that dives into the sucky things people do. I like that he's trying to take ownership here, but the truth of the matter is that he was in focus, and I messed it up when I recentered him. So his confidence was indeed intact, as it should be. There, got that off my chest. Enjoy the show.
And then we get done with the podcast and check it, and I'm out of focus.
Yeah.
And we turn it, go into the camera settings, and the stupid thing's on autofocus again. I was 100% confident that I had put it on manual focus, and you manually focused me, and we should have been good, but nope.
Yeah, no good.
Here I am out of focus again. Come on.
Yeah, but see, that to me, that's a genuine mistake.
That was kind of dumb luck.
That was
the
unfortunate.
Stupid cameras. All right, they hate me. You did it.
I didn't do
You
it.
did it. It's
Just
when
to
you
tear you
shocked
down.
the camera.
Oh my gosh.
You set it into autofocus when you shocked the camera.
Hey,
that makes sense because we talked about
you sound
and
really confident about that.
I'm 100% sure that is what set it into. Yeah,
Hopefully I found a way to work that into it.
maybe.
Obviously we record multiple times.
It was before we started recording. You got up and touched the camera and
set
this.
Oh.
I heard it and saw it.
It was huge.
And the camera shut off.
It did?
It shut off for a second and came back.
See, I told you, dude, I have powers.
You do.
Man.
You are powder.
I'm powder. I'm powder. I can't touch electronics.
Yeah, and you did. It's your fault.
Yeah, maybe that's what happened.
Man, I know it's getting off topic, but it really bugs me when you and we do everything in our power to make this perfect.
Yeah.
And then something stupid like that happens.
Yeah.
And now we got to deal with the comments and the people.
And you know what?
We know we sell the product, but it's like we tried. We really did.
And you know what it ends up doing? It ends up rocking our confidence.
Yeah.
And this is something that
segue, bro.
I really enjoy what we're doing. I really enjoy what we do here. And I know you are too. And one of the things that makes this work is that we're both on the same page, that no matter how confident we are in where we stand, we're never going to be happy enough. We want to make it better.
Yeah.
So we go through all these measures. We do all this. I mean, you set a lot of this up last night. We came in, spent 2 hours fine tuning everything, and just to have you out of focus, and it ends up rocking our confidence. And that's not that you have to have the ability to calibrate, because that was a humbling moment, right? Everything we did. Next thing you know, we're like, dude, I'm out of focus. My heart sank, and I was like, yeah, we're jokes. That's what goes through my head.
Right.
But you got to remember, there's a reason if you go into a news studio, it's not like it's two anchors and right before they sat down at their desk, they went and adjusted all the cameras. There's teams of people who are constantly monitoring everything going on. You know what I mean? So that's where I want to give, you got to give us leeway. It still sucks. Don't get me wrong. But so I used to do the story times of Skizz, right? Mm-hmm. And this is a good story in confidence. I used to do the story times with Skizz, and that was a long time ago. And the first couple I did were okay, wasn't the greatest. And then I wanted to have more real estate to get more animated with my body and stuff like that. So I had the camera on the tripod, and then next thing I know, that I bought myself a really fancy boom mic and did the whole skit, and then went to, do my magic on the computer. And I'm like, I sound terrible. This mic sucks. Okay. Well, the next couple of days is trying to get that. Okay. Mic's no good. Let's go with a lav. Let's get a clip on. Okay. I'll get a clip on. We'll do that whole thing. I order that. I get that thing going to have it run through my sleeve so you can't see it. I make sure to wear a black shirt so you can't see it on my thing, and do the whole thing just to recognize that every time I moved, I was able to get away from it rubbing on the shirt because I was good enough to think of that. But what I didn't realize was the quality of the cable wasn't the best. So I was getting a static. I'm like, okay, so let's fix that and do the whole thing again. I shot the scene 6 times, and only to launch it and edit it and put it on YouTube. And a lot of people liked it, but I was like, this video sucks. This video sucks. I ended up taking it down. Like that. I really enjoyed making the story times with Skizzes, But my journey in that, when people don't realize, is like how much of my life is dedicated to just making that backdrop with the shelves and moving my bed over and that whole thing. And to go through all of that only to create a product that to me was just awful. You want to talk about a roller coaster of confidence. I was like feeling really good because of how many people liked the Storytime with Skizz. And then I made that piece of crap. And I was like, and I took it off YouTube. I ripped it off YouTube because I was so disgusted by it that anytime I would see its thumbnail, it would like conjure up these, you know what I mean? So this talks about how like a weight, like when confidence is a moving target, you need to be aware. You got to be healthy about it. That was an unhealthy response, but I'm not putting it back up. That thing sucked.
It happens with me, even with something like Minecraft.
Yeah.
Like I'll go through those waves where I feel like, man, I got this. Like, you know, I've been pushing myself to be more of a builder. You know, I started off totally technical redstone, and I saw all these people building amazing things around me. And I'm like, I want to learn how to build better, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I'll ever just be a natural born block artist like Pearl and Scar. And we have a lot of great builders on the server. Can't get it in all their names, but I would push myself. And then I would get to a space where I'm like, dang, yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm starting to feel pretty good. And then like Minecraft keeps evolving. Like everybody keeps evolving and getting better and better. And then like another couple months go by and I'll see something that Scar builds and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm nowhere close to that. Confidence goes down a little bit. You know, it's again a comparison thing, thief of joy and all that. But like also then I'll push myself to get even better. And then eventually I'll get a little bit better and I'm like, get confidence. And the next thing you know, somebody's outbuilding me again, and it comes back down. So I've been going through those waves as well, and also just creative block happens too. So that's completely different.
Yeah, that's different. And what you need to be doing is you need to the whole comparisons to Thief of Joy is very real. You need to be confident in your ability to trend in the right direction. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is I'm watching what you're building, and it's magnificent. Like a lot of the stuff that you're building is so good. And it probably doesn't mean a whole lot coming from somebody who is a terrible builder, but I know what I like.
Camel Bubble is awesome, man.
Yeah, that was a
giant camel made out of bamboo.
that was not easy, but that wasn't creative. It had already been designed by Minecraft. And so I just, but I remember, so like my building's not very good. It's I'll have my moments here or there, but I remember when I was on Legacy, I was trying to build something and it was so bad. I was like, I'll make a joke out of this. And so I had a whole montage of like a replay mod montage time lapse of me building this thing to this inspiring music. And the viewer's eye is like, what is he building? And it was so bad. You actually see me tear it down and rebuild it. And then I'm like, I made the joke out of it because what I did was I finished it and I instantly cut from the time lapse to me and it in the background and me going, this thing sucks. You know what I mean? Like it was because it was so bad. And then I brought Pearl in to help, fix it up. And I was able to make something out of it.
She helped you talking about bringing in some smirkers.
That's when she taught me about smirkers.
Yeah.
Her favorite block smirkers. And, but see, that's what's interesting is what I ended up doing was using my confidence to create content with anybody and make anything funny and entertaining and being like, okay, well, what I just built looks so terrible. That'll be my fodder. That'll actually be the fuel of what this next segment is going to be like. And what a lot of people don't know, and I feel like I'm just going to say it. I know some people do. I have talked about it. We're all aware that Pearlescent Moon is like the sweetest girl in the world. Like she is like the nicest. She is like overly humble. If anybody deserves to have some arrogance, it's her because she's so good at the building. She's so artistic. And I had asked for her help. And the scene I had set up was, I was like, I want you to be dogging me on this. Like, and she's like, I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. I'm like, Pearl, it'll be fine. Trust me on this. I was like, we'll start. I'm going to put you up on a pedestal. And I want you throwing garbage on me as I ask for your help. And she did a good job. But that was my way of being like, I'm aware what I just built sucks. I'm okay. We don't need to be cautious with my feelings here. It's garbage. But now let's have some fun because I had an actual confidence in my ability to take that awful moment and turn it into something entertaining.
Yeah, well, you had not a lot of confidence in your building, but you had a lot of confidence in your ability to produce humor.
Yeah.
Right? So you just said, okay, I'm going to take this situation and just make it funny.
Yeah.
Because you had the confidence in doing that.
Yeah.
So you just changed where the spotlight was. Not about the build. It's about the fact that you're making a joke about the build.
Yes.
Nobody cares about the build anymore. It was just a set piece.
Yeah.
You know, for your skit.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's, you know, and so now, and we've covered what confidence is. We've covered what it is to have false confidence. What is something that you're like legitimately confident in?
It's got to be something technology related.
Yeah.
Because I've always well, I'll back up a step. I found a book the other day. I think my mom did one of those things where she was like cleaning out an old closet or whatever and just found a bunch of my old stuff and just brought it over one day and said, "This is your stuff. Take it. I don't want it in my house." and so I shoved it in a closet as well. But I was cleaning that closet out the other day and I found a book from 3rd grade. I remember this. In 3rd grade, we went to some kind of book fair thing and we were allowed to pick one book each off of this table. And as I sifted through all the books, there was this book on technology and I picked it up and it was about computers and how they're being used in airports and all this different stuff. And it was my first introduction to computers and technology, but I was in 3rd grade and I knew right then when I grabbed that book that it was going to be a big part of my life. You know, fast forward, it's what I went to college for. It's what I worked at a company for 17 and a half years doing. And we're still way into technology, even being content creators, right? Like we have to know how to do video editing and Photoshop and install Minecraft mods and all this stuff. There's still a lot of technical pieces and learn how camera gear works sometimes. And so
sneak that word in there.
I'm so frustrated.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say at this point, like, I know I'm kind of the go-to guy. Like anytime you have a problem with technology, you kind of come to me, right?
Yep.
So I feel pretty confident in my ability to solve like anything in a technical space.
Yeah. That's I remember, and I think you have a confidence in me in regards to my ability to like tell a story or a storyboard. I remember back when, you know, your channel was still ramping and you wanted to make a commercial for your channel and you're like, "Can you help me with this?" I'm like, "Absolutely. Let's rock and roll." And so, you know, we storyboarded the whole thing. And I remember finding it interesting in that moment because so you built my confidence in that moment. You weren't trying to, but you built my confidence in that moment because I thought I was good at storyboarding. I did. I mean, I went to school for a little bit. I know what it is to have a vision in this world and see the end state. I get that. Right. But here you were trusting me with your channel. And so I put together something that the storyboard I wrote for you was very deliberate, right? I was like, I want people who see this commercial to understand all the different dynamics that your channel offers. So we're going to talk about your builds. We're going to talk about the things that you're a part of. We're going to talk about the humor that's involved and all that. And I wrote a script that you were going to speak to. And I don't know if you remember this, but you had all these different inventions and these machines, like they're just awesome. And some of them were the Expender. I remember the Expender?
Mm-hmm.
That was like this really huge XP build that you made with Enderman that was just had a daunting look to it. So I was like, I want you to say it like this. You know what I mean? Say it with this dark, and you had to say it a couple times. And then the next one was a potato, carrot and wheat farm, right? And I was all, that's like so ridiculous. Like what you like it works very well, but it's a ridiculous thing, but it's funny. So I want you to say it with kind of an upbeat thing. And so, dude, you questioned nothing. Like you were just like, this is what he does. I've seen him do it. I got it. And like, I'm just going to do whatever he says. I remember being like, I'm expecting pushback at some point, but there was none. You just were like, whatever you think I should do, I'm going to do that. I remember being like so honored. And I remember being like, my confidence was already kind of high in my ability to do this. Holy smokes. It's really high now. Like, you know what I mean? So like you ended up building my confidence in that chapter without even knowing it.
Yeah. I mean, you always crush it. So you have every reason to have confidence in it. You know, it's like, what was that podcast where you're like, okay, just stare at me for 10 seconds, deadpan face, and then stare at the camera for 10 seconds, deadpan face. And I didn't even bother to ask you what the heck this was for. I just did it.
You just did it. It was funny. And if you remember, we're talking about the Christmas one. We had the Santa hats on.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, let's get some Santa hats on. And you didn't want to at first. And you're like, I'm like, you got some Santa hats around here. You're like, nah. And I'm all, well, now I know you do. So just get them, you know? And you're like, let's not. Like, And
I think I was just being lazy. I didn't want to have to
you
go
want to go
look for
fetch
him.
him, yeah. But you're like, we're gonna wear him the whole time. I'm like, yeah, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be funny. Like it'll be good. And you're right. When I wanted to do the deadpan stuff in the beginning, like you were not like against it by like you just were like, what do you want me to do? Look in this camera, do deadpan. Now what? What do you want me to do? You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, now look at me, now look at whatever. And I know that big party was like, what are you up to?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is this? But I was like, I know what I want this thing to be. And the responses in the comments that intro, it turned out to be exactly what I was going for. And the fact that it was all, and people who only listen on audio didn't get to experience it. Because obviously I cut it out because it just would have been silence for 20 seconds.
Everybody checking the volume on their audio players.
Exactly.
Wondering why hasn't the podcast started?
And I liked it because typically we start every episode. I start it by doing a snippet of something that's in the episode and then go into Richard Thornton's jingle, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Imp And Skizz jingle. But this was one that I was going to enjoy because it was deadpan, more deadpan, more, and then we're both deadpan, and then right into the song. And I was like, I just know what this is going to feel like, you know. And you're right, dude. You're a good friend, man. You're a good partner in this world because you're just like, what do you want from me? What do we do?
Yeah. So
that's funny.
I trusted that it was going to be good. And even, the funny thing is, like, even after you explained it, like, then you did like later explain, I was like, so what was that about? You explained that you were going to do that. And then part of me was like, I don't know if that's going to work or not, but he'll make it work. Like, I just, you know what I mean? Like in my mind, I couldn't see it coming together, but I knew in your mind it worked. You had it figured out and it was going to work and it was going to, as people saw it, it was actually going to be funny and you were going to get positive. Like you just knew that you were going to get positive feedback when part of me was like, I don't know if I could pull that off. There's no way. Like,
well, I'll tell you that's part of it was, I don't know if you remember, but the initial dissolve in, which is a fade in, if you will, was very slow and very subtle for that purpose. I didn't want it to be jarring. Like it was just like, it sounds so crazy and so arrogant, but I wanted that initial deadpan. I wanted that dissolve to be slow so that the human mind was like, okay, what do we got here? I was just, come on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
But if you got a
vision for this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And it felt good. And I will say this to all the comments. I thought there'd be comments about that it made people laugh. I didn't expect it to have the overwhelming response, positive response it did. And it made me feel like $1 million.
Yeah,
you know,
nailed it. Crushed it.
That was fun. That was fun. I want to do more of that.
Let's talk about things that we're not confident in. Cause like this is going to come out kind of weird, but this podcast was not something I was super confident in. And it's not just cause it was new to me, but I knew that you would be good at it. So like you saying that you didn't have confidence kind of throws me a bit, but because we have done things like this in a way, like in a different scenario, like back in when we used to do those quad view SMB streams on Twitch, like way back in the day, probably 10 years ago almost, we would have a segment that we called the deep end, where you would bring up like a super serious subject and we would all like chime in on our thoughts on it. And it was very podcasty. Like you were doing a video podcast well before its time, actually. And so I remember during those sessions.
Wow, I never thought about it.
You invented the podcast.
No, that's definitely not true.
So I remember during those sessions, like you always like had so much insight and value to add to the conversation. Where when it got to me, I felt like I did okay.
You did great.
I was a little uncomfortable at times doing it because I felt like I don't really have the best things to say. I'm not super insightful like you. I couldn't hold a candle to what you had to offer on that. And so based off of that experience, when we decided that we wanted to do the podcast, I felt like this is going to end up being the same thing, where you're going to absolutely crush it. Every single podcast, you're going to be super insightful, have like amazing stuff to say. And I'm just going to be some dude who fills some airtime, and probably doesn't have that much to offer.
Well, you've seen enough. You don't think that anymore. You've seen enough.
I still think you're definitely ahead of me, like carrying a little bit in a good way. And but I do think I'm doing absolutely okay.
You're doing great. You're doing great. And I've said this before to where as I'm editing, I'm like, dude, Skizz, why? Shut up. You know what I mean? Like, shut up. Like, why are you rambling so long?
You're a storyteller, man. You're good, and you're a good storyteller, and you know it. So there's no reason to cut yourself short when you have something great to say.
Well, but there is a little bit of a reason when I'm not the only one in the room. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm talking about. And your patience is second to none. And I'm not suggesting that you have reason to be impatient. What I am suggesting is that if there was some sort, like Minecraft has statistics on how many sheep you've sheared and how many zombies you've killed. Mm-hmm. If we had like a word statistic,
oh man,
like I think the ratio is around 5 to 1. You know what I mean? And it makes me like to the point to where, as I'm editing, I can just see it. If I want to grab a clip from you or grab a clip from me, I can see it from a distance. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that clip is really fat. That's me. That means I didn't shut up for a long time.
Yeah.
I think maybe
because in the editor, you're switching
the back and forth.
Camera angles. And so you can see all these are your camera, all these are my camera, and yours is filling the timeline.
Yes, dude. And it's like if it's an inch wide, that's probably me. If it's a 16th of an inch, it's you. Back to an inch, back to a 16th. Like 3 times maybe I'm like, okay, that's me. Let me grab this. Oh, that's him. Yay. You know what I mean? Like every once in
something.
Yeah.
Woo!
That's right.
All right. No, man. I tried to tell you this too, because you brought it up, and I really think that it's a good thing. It's like, if I don't have a lot to say on a particular subject and you do, please carry, because a podcast with just dead air would suck.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. And there's been some times where it's you have a lot to say about whatever it is, and in those moments, oh, I love it because you go and you just go. And I'm just like, I'm just going to relax and just enjoy the show right now. But you do have to be very comfortable. I think that's normal. I do. Yeah. I think it's normal. I want to tell you about an interesting story of mixing the world of confidence and great lacking confidence together. This is an interesting one.
Okay.
So we covered how my vision on my ability to speak publicly I think I'm very good. I do think I'm very good. And I'm quite literally talking about speaking in front of crowds and stuff, right? I've done enough. How about this? I've been approached enough times in my life after doing some sort of public speaking event. I've been approached enough times by people telling me this is what I should do exclusively, is speak publicly. I've been approached enough times to realize maybe I am very good at this. You know what I mean? And so it feels good. It took, that was something you don't, talk about being falsely confident. That's something you don't want to be falsely confident in. And so I felt comfortable in the beginning, but as time went by and I was approached as much as I would, I started to feel like maybe I'm actually like way above average in this, maybe. So there's an event at our work that's held every X amount of years, and it's called ITTLC. And what it stands for is IT, which is information technology, IT Technical Leadership Conference. Now, what it's supposed to be is the technical leaders of our business, which is a huge global organization. It's the cream of the crop. It's the technical leaders of this world coming to speak about things that they've done. Well, Skizz wrote an abstract to enter, and I was like, careful. Because what I wanted to do was talk about something that I'd created, right? But I was like, careful, because you're also a good writer. And if you get accepted into this, you might not belong, because this is the best of the best of the best. That's who's there speaking. And I was like, and because as confident as I am in my ability to speak, my ability to write, I'm equally as unconfident in the technical world. It's just not my gig. Yeah. It's not my gig. What I created, I was like my vision of what I wanted to happen, but I had to use the brilliant minds of others. And believe me, I make sure all their voices are said, or all their names are said, except for one I blew it. Tell me the story later. That's a whole different story.
Crying himself to sleep that night.
No, that's a different story. Anyways, I write this abstract and I read it back to myself, and I'm like, this is good. This is going to get people's attention. So Skizz, you got to ask yourself, if you get invited, you are approved and you win and you're invited to come speak at this thing, do you really belong there? Because you don't belong there. Well, I submitted it, man, because I also like to play with fire. I like to swing, and I won, and I was invited to go. I don't remember what state it was in. I had to go travel and there for a couple of days, and I had a specific moment that I was going to be speaking about this item. So I realized, okay, all right, I'm not a technical person. This is the cream of the crop. They're all going to sniff me out immediately. They're going to be like, this dude is smoke and mirrors. You know what I mean? But what I created was real. I just did it through other people. You know what I mean? That's like, this is what I want to happen. This is how it has to happen, blah, blah, blah. So I do that. And I decide to turn my public speaking event into, I will talk to you about the technical piece. You know what I mean? I'll tell you what it is. Cause I'm not going to lie. I know what's going on here. Any more details that they want to have answers to, I'm going to tell them to approach me afterwards. And I'm not going to make that stuff up either. I will get them the answer if they're curious. But my thing is going to be about the journey. I want them to hear the journey, because the technical stuff here of what was created, I could give a crap about. I want them to hear about the journey, and I want them to see how this is directly applicable to what they have to offer. Because so I decided to turn it into like a motivational piece.
Wow.
That's risky. That's not what this venue's about. You know what I mean? And so I put it together, and I didn't phone this in. I rehearsed it a lot, and I felt confident. All of a sudden I was like, this is good. I'm not confident that it belongs here because I've never been to one of these conferences before, but I am confident that it's not going to fall on all deaf ears. I think it'll be good. So I went and I did my thing. And it wasn't like it was only like it was kind of interesting, bro. I had a room, right? There's a bunch of rooms where this is happening all over because people come from all over the world to come do this. My room could seat like 30 people, right? And there was like exactly 30 people. Like every seat was taken. They couldn't fit any more people in. It's not a big room. If they wanted 300 people, I'd have been fine. 3,000, I'd have been fine. Like the amount of people doesn't matter. In fact, I could argue the more people, the more comfortable I am, because the more they start to turn into noise or whatever. But I had like 30 people in there. So it was relatively intimate. I did my thing. And when I was done, I was like, I'm going to read their faces. I'm going to see as they're leaving the room. I want to see, are they anxious to get out of here? Are they whispering to each other? Because I have no choice but to be like, this has no place here. You know what I mean? This is a motivational speech for this. Come on. So I was worried, but I was confident I still did a good job. And I finished it. And I took some questions and I said, thanks for coming. So I'm like, okay, now I'm going to watch them get up and walk out. Why aren't they walking out? Nobody's leaving. They're making a line. They're in a line. There's a line. These are the people that wanted to talk to me one-on-one afterwards.
I was going to say, they want your autograph or what?
No. They just wanted to ask more questions. Wow. And I found it really interesting because I was like, oh, I did not prepare for this. I thought that'd be like, we got a line of people waiting to talk to me. Interesting. I am very fascinated in this. And almost every one of them started off by saying that was amazing. You know what I mean? Because a big part of it, like my thing was get back on them. This is about you now. You know what we did here, but this is about the journey. You have something to offer and you're lying dormant for some reason. This is to wake you up. That's what it was, right? Yeah. And so they came, this is what I want to do. How should I get started? And it was really, really good. And then there were some technical questions that I could answer.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, like, because you said, talk to me after if you have technical questions. Was everybody in line like just want to know the protocols of the device that you were whatever?
Every once in a while there was that. That's what's interesting is that this is what I needed to realize is that, yeah, there was some of that, but very, very little bit, because if they were really that curious, they can find those answers on their own. And when they did have questions that were technical, I was able to answer like all of them. I think there was like one or two. I'm like, you know what? I don't know. Let me get your name down. I'll get that back to you. You know what I mean? So that was an interesting situation to where I put myself out there because I was confident in my ability to do the speaking part, to inspire the masses. I was confident there, but the subject matter was like, this is weird. It was like it was a weird dynamic. You know what I mean? But I'll tell you this, that's one of my proudest stories, because I was really uncomfortable going into that, and I came out feeling like on cloud nine.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's like, did you ever?
I wish you were there.
You ever find yourself like falling back out of that? Like we talked about, confidence can be a roller coaster, right? Like you've got tremendous confidence in your ability to speak in public now about things like that, like and being very motivational. Have you had a situation where you've dipped since then, or was that like the top of the plateau and you've been there ever since, chilling, and nothing can bring you down?
No. This sounds crazy. I think the best speech I've ever given was actually a best man speech at our buddy's wedding. And this is a very close friend of both of ours. And when he had asked me to be his best man, I was super honored because when I met him, this is somebody I've always held him in high regard. How can you not? And when he asked me to be his best man, I was super honored. And you know what? It was crazy, dude. You know what's crazy about this is you want to talk about confidence booster. His dad had recently passed away, and his dad is just like the bee's knees, you know. And this buddy of ours, he's older than me. He was 2 years older than me, but he was like, you remind me of my dad so much, you know? And I was like, whoa. And so when he asked me to be his best man, I was just, I was so touched. And when I made the best man speech, I think I did I know I did a really good job on that. Now I didn't go up there and wing it, and I didn't have cards. And now if you have cards, there's nothing wrong with that, but I do it very differently, right? I framed the whole thing. Yeah, oh yeah. Wow. But it wasn't word for word. I just framed the sequence of events that I wanted to talk about and how they segued into each other and how I wanted to do the mood and take them on this ride. And my objective was, I want people laughing through their tears, but I want the tears to be because this is real emotions, but I want them laughing through it. Like this is going to be hard. It's going to be good. And so I put together this whole thing. Anyways, I did my best man speech. And as you can imagine, it wasn't like everybody there knew me. You know what I mean? It was a pretty big wedding. I didn't know that this was a thing. They asked him afterwards, so where did you get him? And he's like, what do you mean?
Like you could hire people to give your wedding speeches?
Because apparently you can.
No way.
I didn't. Apparently there's best men for hire. Like you can hire, dude, I swear now hold on.
That would be one heck of a gig, man.
Yeah, I know.
It'd be like, it's like Wedding Crashers, except you're invited.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I've never looked into that, but I heard it was a real thing. I didn't hear about it until that night or whatever. And I'm like, what does this mean? He's like, dude, they think I hired you. Like, it was like the most,
wow.
He's like, dude, so here's the deal. And this is a guy that is as cautious as they come. You know what I mean? Like he really is a cautious, deliberate person. And he knew where I was working. We were working at the same place and he's the one who got me the job there. You know what I mean? And he's like, so here's the deal. And I'm not messing around. You need to quit your job now. And you need to pursue this. This is you. Like you, and he's like, and he goes, do you have any idea how much money they make? And I'm like, dude, I have no idea how to break in. I don't know anything about that world. That's an entertainment-based world. That's feast or famine. I got nothing. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And so I was super touched, but to hear about it. And then fast forward the clock, several years have gone by and we're at their house and his wife is like, my family still talks about your speech. Jeez. Yeah. Can you believe that? And I'm like, you're amazing. Crazy. She's like, I swear. Yeah. She's like, it still comes up in topics sometimes. Maybe that guy, who was that guy? You know what I mean? Like that was the best speech ever. And apparently, I guess the DJ was
Who was it? That was Skittles Man?
Yeah, Skittles. Was that Skittles Man? And I guess even the DJ who does this, DJ's weddings was just like, and I didn't hear it, but somebody was like, yeah, I talked to the DJ. He's like, I don't know what's going on here, but that's the best speech I've ever heard.
Wow.
Like, it was
so yeah, you belong on top of the plateau there.
I guess so.
That's
that
great.
Feels good, man.
So you're going to hate editing this one because I'm going to just ask you a question and you're going to go into detail again. Do you think there's merit in the phrase fake it till you make it?
Ooh, good one. Well, I like that. Yeah, I do. And I think the reason I think that is because as long as your intention is to actually get there, right? Go ahead and fake it until you make it. Because unfortunately, we live in a world where people don't have a whole lot of patience when people don't have that confidence. Mm-hmm. So if you are in a position to where you're not feeling as confident as you would like to, and you are exuding a little bit more confidence than you think is warranted in that moment, as long as you are still chasing that space to be in to where now you are justified in feeling confident, then absolutely. That's like, don't put anybody at risk. Don't do that stuff, but there's nothing, don't tear yourself down. Don't sit there and tell people I can't do this. I'm bad at this. I'm guilty of this, dude. Me, I am. I do this all the time because I want to get ahead of it. Like, hey, don't think I'm dumb when it comes to this, the syntax or this coding. I already know I am. You know what I mean? Like I actually own it to that level or whatever, but I don't fake that world until I make it because I have no part. I want no part in it. But if I am there you go, the event management piece, right? When I first dipped my toes into event management, my very first gig ever, I had a good amount of influence like in my first gig ever, I'm like, wow, yeah, lacking confidence will not be welcomed here.
Right.
So I had this confidence and it was like a fake it till you make it, but I made it kind of quick. You know what I mean? So that was good.
Yeah.
So I think there's merit there. I think it's okay as long as you are keeping a consistent trajectory to get to where you need to be.
I think you have to understand that you're actually faking it, you know, and not just like having false belief that you know something.
There you
right?
go.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Is you knew that, okay, I have to exude confidence because they need that leadership out of me.
Yeah.
Even though you knew internally you didn't have that confidence because you were new and learning it, you know.
Yeah.
But you had to fake it in that instance to be successful.
Yep.
Sometimes I wonder if my entire YouTube career has been me faking it till I made it, you know, because it's like, you know, when you're doing anything that's new, you're not gonna have confidence,
No.
right? But you think I was gonna make a YouTube video that's like, oh, I'm thinking about building something, but I don't think it's gonna look good.
Yeah.
Like when I was trying to be a better builder, you know, you're not gonna like do that. I'm not gonna make a video where I'm self-doubt and like the real feelings that were inside at the time are just being spewed out of my mouth. You know, I wouldn't make a good video.
Yeah.
And instead, sometimes you say you build something and you might be like, oh, it's not as good as so and so. You know, you got imposter syndrome and stuff going on. But I'd be like, that looks awesome. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, there you go. Okay. If I tell them that it looks awesome, then they're just going to believe it.
Yeah.
Even though I know it personally, I could do better.
Well, you know, so the thing about it is that the reason the fake it till you make it sound so awful, but I understand what you're saying. But when I'm talking about that, the world doesn't have a lot of patience for a lacking confidence. That's very real because everybody is in preservation mode. We just are all the time. What can you do for me?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We can dive into that. We're not going to, but everybody, what have you done for me lately? What can you do for me? That's where they're at, right? So what we don't have patience for is people who are lacking confidence, and I think that it can be seen in the fact that people who are genuinely confident, especially confident and competent at the same time. It's appealing. It's attractive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like women are attracted to men who are confident. Men are attracted to women who are confident.
Yeah.
And I know that's not the case for anybody. If you're a man and you're attracted to women who are not confident, you suck. Anyways.
Yeah. There's something deeper there.
It means that you yourself.
It means you're insecure.
That's absolutely right. You're looking for somebody who you think you might be able to control.
Manipulate. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever. You suck. Anyways. I find, and that's one of the reasons, like I've been so attracted to my wife for so long. She's a very confident person. She's a very competent person, very confident. She has her moments of lacking confidence like any human, but she has her moments of a lot of moments where she's confident and she has every right to be, you know, and that's interesting to me. That's attractive to me. And I remember, I think I've told this story before too. This is an interesting one. I was doing a performance, a drum performance with two other drummers, and it was a talent show, a big talent show. And so our drumming thing was just one of it. And so there's all these, and one of them was this, I think it was like East Coast swing dancing or some sort of, but it was groups, like it was literally like 8 guys, 8 girls. Right. And one of the girls, she was just undeniably gorgeous. Like, you know what I mean? Like troublingly so. It was like distracting. Like that girl is gorgeous. And whatever. So I'm back in the green room, and we had done a bunch of dry runs over the last week or so. And now I'm in the green room, and it's the day of the performance. I don't remember. And I find myself in the green room with my 2 drummers and one of the male dancers. And he's like, "You guys are awesome." And I'm like, "Thanks, man." I was like, you guys' performance is good too. And I said, "Hey, question. Who is dancing with that blonde?" And they knew who I was talking about. She's like the only blonde in that group. And I said, "And how are they focusing?" And I was like, "Because that girl is a knockout, you know." And I have no problem saying it's okay to recognize somebody's attractive. And they both look at each other, and they look back at me. They're all, "Do you want to meet her?" I'm all, No. You know what I mean? I'm like, "That's not what this is." I'm like, I'm married. And like, "You want to meet her?" I'm like, I don't want to. And one guy's all, "She's into you, dude." I'm all, "What?"
No.
Yeah. And I'm like, "What?" I was super like, "What are you talking about?" And they start laughing, and one of them's like, "She really likes your confidence." And it was because there's a partner drum thing where I moved to front stage while both of them were on drum sets, and I'm on the snare and I'm doing a solo, and the rhythmic support to the solo is what they're doing on the drum sets, and I'm just ripping it up on the snare drum.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, the way I enter is with that marching style confidence or whatever. And the way I'm able to own the drum and own that moment in the body and all that. And I was much better shape back then too. Let's call it what it is. And I do my thing. And that's what they said. They're like, yeah, she likes your confidence. Now let's think about this. Women are far less superficial than men are when it comes to looks. They just are. They see more value in the person. And I think men see value in the person. I really do. But I think that while there's benefit in being a good looking man, it's men are, I think we're a lot more judgmental from a cosmetic standpoint. I do. I believe that. But in regards to how good looking I was and how good looking she was, it's like, we're not even in the same ballpark. You know what I mean? But it was the confidence is what got it all the way there. And that's what I mean is that when somebody, so now I'm confident in what I'm doing and then she's watching what I'm doing and I'm obviously very competent in the drumming piece of it. Yeah. So everything kind of came together.
Yeah, the 2 C's.
The 2 C's, the confidence and competence.
C squared.
Yeah, but hold on, everything's in 3s. So there's got to be a third one.
Oh, you and your 3s.
That's right.
Yeah, you better find another C.
Competence, confidence, and cheese sandwich.
Cheese sandwich.
I'm just saying, cheese makes anything better. But there you go. There you go. That's what I mean. Really dissect that.
I find it super attractive. Like my wife has a lot of confidence in her ability to design things, you know, like she started that Etsy business selling jewelry and everything she's done. It's just been amazing. She's got nothing but 5-star reviews.
Plug it.
Desert Meadows Design on Etsy. Go check it out. We'll put a link in the stuff.
Let's remember to do that. That's
So she's got an amazing shop selling jewelry and like nothing but, I mean, she shows me all the time. Her comments are just outstanding. And I love it. I love the sparkle in her eyes when she gets that positive feedback because she can see that like she's doing something that's just like getting these kind of reviews. Like people love what she's doing. I mean, she designed this set that we're sitting in on, like we got the shelves built and they were empty. And I said, do your thing. And she went and got a bunch of stuff to make it look awesome. She's got such confidence in her ability to design things, interior design, and now the earrings, it's just jewelry, that I've now lost my confidence in design because she's so good that I don't want to touch it. You know, comparison when it comes to like, you know, when I was designing the studio or whatever, I was like, there's a wall that's going to be behind me that's always on camera. I'm not going to come up with the design. You do it, please. And she did, and she knocked it out of the park. Yeah. You know, it was our last set that we used to, 4 episodes ago record on.
So cool. Yeah.
You know, other than the fact the building's not big enough, but but she designed an amazing wall. So like but you're absolutely right. It's like seeing that sparkle in somebody's eye, like seeing their confidence in what they're doing. That's like super attractive.
Yeah. Yeah. We dig it. It's because that's somebody you want in your tribe. You know what I mean? I think that now we were really digging down into the psychological piece of it, but that's psychology. That's not it. More like the sociological piece of it is there. You don't want somebody that is not value added to your tribe. That's their liability at that point. Mm-hmm. Now they're a parasite. That is their skill. They're a parasite, right? I mean, this sounds really, really bleak the way I'm saying it, but I think that the reason that we like confidence is because we associate it with being competent. Just turns out sometimes that we're wrong, but we see confidence as a piece of competence, and I think that we dig it. You know what I mean? Like we dig it. I want you to be part on my team, be part of this tribe. You know, I think it was Peyton Manning, who's a really famous NFL quarterback. When he was coming out of college, I don't remember what team. Like, did he go right to the Colts? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. But anyways, he was in conversations with one of the coaches on one of the NFL teams, and there was a potential of them hiring him. Actually, I think it was the ones who ended up hiring him. And he said, you know, what he was going to bring to the team. And this is Peyton Manning. He's one of the greatest ever. And the coach said, why do I want you on this team? And this may have been even college for all I know. But his response was, because if you don't put me on this team, I'm going to spend the next, I know it was college, dude. I know this now. He said, because if you don't put me on this team, I'm going to spend the next 4 years kicking your ass. Like it was like, whoa. And I mean, that what an answer. You know what I mean? I remember watching that and being like, and I might even be wrong about it being Peyton Manning. I don't think I am. I remember watching that and being like, okay, first of all, the reason that worked is because they're talking to him because they've already seen he's got the skill set.
Yeah.
And you think confidence is a question? No longer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you want that.
Yeah.
And especially a leader, he's in a quarterback in football is the leadership role.
Yeah.
Like the two biggest roles on the team are quarterback and coach.
Yeah.
So yeah, you gotta have, oh my gosh, quarterback in the NFL that doesn't have confidence.
Oh my God.
No, they wouldn't make it. They wouldn't make it to even get there.
Any elite position. Think about that.
Any sport.
Anything at all. Take a CEO of a company.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a CEO is like, well, stocks are kind of bad. And I don't know, maybe I was the wrong guy for the job here. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Like we need, that now you really want to fake it until you make it because you're going to cause a panic.
Yeah.
Like you're absolutely right. Though, like the more elite the position, the more confidence plays a huge part in your ability to do it. Yeah. Oh, it's crazy, man. So now, and I know that we're running long, but there is such a thing as lacking confidence in something that you have no business lacking confidence in that thing. I mean, can you imagine? I do believe I'm good. I do believe I'm a good public speaker. I do. And I now officially believe I'm a leader. Can you imagine if I was just like, I'm not a public speaker, I'm not good at it? I mean, that's actually annoying at that point. You know what I mean? Like it's, what is this false humility garbage? Let's knock this off. Like but some people genuinely feel that way. Some people, and there's a lot of people listening right now who are nodding their heads and they're like, that's me. There is something that they have been told a million times that they're proficient at, very proficient at, and they want to be proficient at that thing. And they're getting better and better, but they still think they suck. What is that? You got it. You have to.
I do that too.
I know.
I did it today when I said, I was worried about how I was going to perform with this podcast and stuff. And that was me not having enough confidence in my own abilities to do this and do a good job at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what it is we just set a bar, we set a bar so high that we think because we're not at that bar that we're not good enough. And therefore we lack confidence in it.
Okay. Let's have some fun. I'm going to make you uncomfortable.
Good.
Here we go. I know that face. That is, can we stop now?
Yeah.
Impulse. Here's my question to you. No, hold on. Here is my directive to you.
Okay.
And if you want to take a few minutes to think about it, I'll edit out the few minutes. You are going to tell the world right now what you are better at than anybody you know.
I will need the few minutes.
Okay. Well, I'll just look at the camera.
Than anyone I know. Wow.
I'll make goofy faces in the camera.
Oh,
Tell me when you're ready.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey. I'll make noises too for people on audio. Hi, how you doing? Skizz Man here. Impulse is thinking about what it is that he's good at, which is for the record. There's like 50 things he can pull from.
How am I supposed to think about what I'm supposed to think about with you rambling?
That's a fair point. Okay, ready? Dead air, and I'll cut it out.
Jeez. Give me a hint.
Oh my goodness gracious. Wow, that was amazing. That was amazing.
Dude, I don't know. You got me.
How about this? If another minute goes by, you don't have an answer, I'll tell you what it is.
All right. I think I have something.
Good.
Yeah. I think it's my ability to pursue what I want. I think anytime I have a goal, a dream, I'm going to go after it. I'm going to go harder than anybody could ever go after. That's what I got.
That's what I was going to say.
Really?
Yep.
That's what you had in mind.
But the way I was going to phrase it was your strength is point B. And what I mean by that is getting from point A to point B. Whenever you're at point A and point B is where you want to be, boy, don't get in that dude's way because he's not going to maybe get there. He's going to get there. And when he gets there, then that becomes point A and he finds his next point B. It's why you've been able to achieve so much in your life is because you are always at point A until you get to the point B. And once you get there, that's your new point A. And you charge at it with this, this ferocity is that the right word? Ferocity? Like
sounds
ferocious.
good to me.
It's got
I like it.
It's got itty in it.
If it's not a real word, it can be one now because it's awesome.
Anything that's got itty. You have a kind of a tenacity. You are at point A, you're going to get to point B. The options of not getting there are not on the table. They're not on the table. So, and I'm not going to make anything bad about it, but to the point to where it's almost cost you dearly too, right? But it does make you like the best I know, and likely the best you know, and your ability to get somewhere. And like I said, it's rungs on a ladder, dude. You know what I mean? You can't box jump to the top one. You got to do rung until you get there. And once you get there, then you can go up higher if you want. You got to know whatever you want to do. But as you're doing that, keep in mind what you did to get. Sometimes you got to come down the ladder. You know what I mean? Like you go up a ladder, you still need those rungs to be there. My point being that
they need to have a perspective of what's at the bottom.
Well, a perspective of what's at the bottom, but moreover, being aware of what your journey has been.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like what it took to get where you're at. Like you have I think you have a propensity to forget that all those rungs are like.
Yeah, I do.
I
do. But I think this podcast has helped too, because we end up like bringing stuff up.
Yes.
That was part of the journey. And it's just like, these are like, because I never reflect.
Yeah.
And now I'm almost forced to, as we bring up some subjects. I'm like, oh yeah, that happened. We're idiots. Oh yeah, I did that stupid thing. There's like all these recalls happening as we get into these discussions. And it is helping me kind of remember some of the journey.
I brought up in a stream not too long ago that you and I were doing together. And when I brought it up, your surprise, your shock at what I had brought up was genuine enough to where I was like, yeah, he's not acting. I was right. He forgot about that. You and I did a Minecraft based show years ago on some server. I don't remember what it was, but we were sort of like the features of the server. And then we would develop, like we would do stuff on the server and then other people would come and build off it, whatever. I don't remember. I don't care about what the server was, but we were always building stuff, and we built what we are one of our future dreams. And we built block for block a giant structure of you and I doing a podcast. Yeah. This is years ago.
Yep.
And I was like, we have a dream one day that we're going to be doing. I mean, we had the camera, we had the mics, we had our big, stupid Minecraft avatars. And it was just us like behind a desk, I think. I think it was a desk. I don't even remember.
We're like, newscaster style.
Yeah. But the bottom line is like, we knew that we wanted to do this. And when I brought it up, you're like, oh my, I do remember that.
I totally forgot that we had the dream to be doing a podcast together years ago. And then all of a sudden, here we are doing it 20 whatever episodes in we're at now. And it's like, how did I forget that? Like that was in our minds. Like maybe we should have pulled the trigger back then. We weren't ready. But I also noticed I had like my goals for 2022, because every year I like write a list of what are my goals for that year. Mm-hmm. And so I was reviewing it as we were going into 2023, because I wanted to see what were my goals this last year. Did I hit them? Where I always do a little spot check. And what I noticed was missing on the goals for 2022 was start a podcast with Skizz. It wasn't even on there. And I'm like, what? How did I not even list this? You know what I mean? So even at the beginning of 2022, it wasn't in my mind that we were going to do this podcast. At some point in the year, we decided to just finally go for it. After it was probably 5 years that I want to look it up now. It's probably 5 years that we decided back then that we wanted to do a podcast together, and then we just forgot about it.
Well, what happened was, and it never would have happened. We wouldn't be having this conversation and doing this podcast if you didn't build this guest house. Yeah, that was our catalyst. Like as soon as like you were starting to build, I'm like, are you really? And I think the way it went down was that you were like, yeah, I pulled the trigger. I'm gonna build a guest house. And I think I looked at you. I'm like, are you really? And I think you look back, you're all podcast. I'm all yes. Like we have a venue now.
Finally have a space.
Yes, and it makes me so mad because I was like. It could be argued that we could have done it at my house a long time ago, but because my studio, if you will, is a room. It's a good sized room. It's a whole room because my kids are older and they've moved out. And so now I have these big rooms. but I also live in a zoo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
There'd be a lot of dog barking
Oh,
during
yeah.
the podcast. That's all right. There was tile being cut the entire time we recorded today. So yeah, they're finishing up the pool outside and cutting tile. So I don't know if anybody heard it, but yeah,
that's okay.
But no, this has been a great space. Like we changed from sitting in these very nice Herman Miller chairs in the last studio with a desk between us. And it was fine, but like now we're chilling on a couch and I'm like completely laid back. And I just feel like this is a much better vibe to just like chill and chat and have because this is like you and I just hanging out any other day, you know?
Yeah.
The only difference is we got a bunch of cameras on us and lights and stuff.
That, and we don't have to prepare and fine tune our hangout for 2 hours before.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. But
so this is why I'm going to leave it with this. Going back to the people listening and the things that you're lacking confidence in, that you have no business lacking confidence in that area. You have the information, you have the data, you know what it is. So you know what it is that you're very good at. It's time for you to start recognizing how friggin' awesome you are.
Yeah.
You need to do that. That's kind of why I was like, I want to see if you can do this. I kind of put you under,
it was hard.
It was hard. Look how long it took.
It was really hard. Yeah.
And even then when you said it, you're all, I think maybe. You know what's funny is I wish what I did was I wish I wrote it down on a sheet of paper so there'd be no doubt in your mind that was my answer.
Remember that? Who was that guy? The late night show way back in the day. He'd have the envelope and have a word in it.
That's Johnny Carson.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. He could have pulled one of those.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't believe.
I sure hope it is. I'll tell you that because I got lit up in the comments last time, and I deserved every bit of it. When it wasn't. What was it?
It wasn't the podcast.
No,
it was when you got the artist wrong.
Yeah, I said Lenny Kravitz,
yeah.
and it's Jimi Hendrix. I said Lenny Kravitz. I'm all, what just happened? You know what I mean? I was like
I didn't help either because I wasn't actually thinking of that song when I said pardon me. I was thinking of Incubus.
Pardon me. Okay, yeah, you weren't thinking pardon me.
Yeah, so when you jumped
into
the Jimi Hendrix, like it took me off guard. And so I was like, I wasn't even in the mind space to be like, actually, no, that's Jimi Hendrix. Sorry, bud.
I did that again. Like, so now my confidence in music is shaking.
Oh no. There it goes down to the ground.
I deserve it. That's fun.
But yeah, everybody, that's a good point. Everybody try to think about, give yourself the same question Skizz gave me and see what you come up with. You might shock yourself because I'm not one to, we talked about this in faults. I'm always looking at the negative, right? As my wife pointed out. So I'm not one to like really invest in looking into what are some positives about me and that I have, in my nature and what do I have confidence in and stuff like that. So it was actually kind of nice to open that vault a little bit.
Good. I dig that. And so not only is the challenge to, really get deliberate about the things that you're good at and don't accept anymore that you're not having the right confidence. Have the confidence in it. Do it. Just start to work towards it. Recognize what you're good at. Realize how great you are. But also use this as an opportunity to get vocal with others and the things that they're great at. You know what I mean? Things that you recognize that they're great at and help boost them a little bit. Because confidence, let's say it again. Confidence is the food of the wise man and it's the liquor of the fool. So when it's food for the wise man, and it's meaning it can be used in a very healthy, productive way, it can't be ignored. It's huge, man.
Yeah.
It's a very, very big deal.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't even know what kind of impact you can have on somebody.
Yep.
Like you said, some of the things that I would say, go to you for, and it just triggered that confidence in you. So you can actually be a good friend to somebody and help trigger their confidence just by putting some faith in them and utilizing whatever their skill set is that they might be trying to build confidence in.
Yep.
Let them know that they're doing a good job. It could be that simple. Man, that thing you did, that was awesome.
Yeah.
That's all it takes sometimes.
Yeah. That was amazing. That was amazing. Right. So it's, it's my challenge to you, Impulse. And now that you've vocalized what you're better at than anybody else. And it should mean something that I was thinking the same exact thing. Recognize when people around you, like, when your fellow hermits are maybe going through their own struggle on something that has to do with somewhere they want to be or something they want to do, and they're falling flat and they're losing steam or whatever. Get in there, get vulnerable, go be their champion, go help them get there. And because what you're going to end up doing is you're going to drive home the fact that you do have this skill set. It's relentless. And then you're going to put them in a position to where they just feel better than they have in a very long time.
Yeah.
You know, and
I'll take that challenge.
Yeah. Look for that stuff.
Man, we went long on this one, and it's super funny because when we discussed what are we talking about today, and you said confidence, I was like, I have no idea how we're going to fill a podcast length episode with talking about confidence is good. It's attractive. And here we are over an hour in.
Yeah.
And it was like, where'd that hour go? That went by so fast. That was like such an easy and fun conversation. I hope everybody enjoyed it. We'll just wrap up here.
It was great.
Do your thing, everybody. Go tell your friends, all that stuff.
Do your stuff.
Yeah, we're going to keep going. And I try to be in focus every week. See you guys later.
See ya.